Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, it was so much fun watching. Amazing finale. It was a joy the entire time to be able to watch that.
It seemed like your game was almost like just easy. Like you were good at everything. Just kind of, if you went on a journey, you were going to get the advantage. Is that how it felt?
It did feel like a lot of things were going my way. But it was a lot of work. There was so much work that went behind the scenes. It was easy for it to make it seem like this was simple, Reba's taking over, blah, blah, blah. But like we were playing against really good players and everyone was trying to win. No one was happy to just get to the end and everyone was willing to make punches all the way to the end. Like you see that with Jake making his like crazy final moves that he was trying to pull. Like you could not take your foot off the gas pedal at all. And yeah, I guess maybe my journey was a little bit easier, but being in the majority and all this stuff, but it took so much work, so many nights of staying up planning, doing strategy talks in the middle of the night with the group to make sure we had all of our plans set together without people knowing that we're working together. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was, I guess, I wouldn't say easy, but I guess a little easier than Jake's journey, for example.
Right, right. So in Drew's vote out, you kind of look over and it seems like you realize Dee was in on this. Talk me through what you were thinking in that moment.
Yeah, it was sort of just like a wow, like I kind of like I said, you can't let your foot off the gas pedal. And that was a moment where it was sort of like I let my foot off the gas pedal a little bit. To me and Drew, it was obvious. It was like, okay, obviously we're gonna vote out Julie. Everyone was on board of voting out Julie. She made this very cool, flashy idol play. Why would people not want to vote her out now? Like it makes so much sense. So we kind of chilled a little bit at camp. We weren't trying to suss out people. We were like, this is obviously what's going to happen. We don't really have to worry too much. And we were caught off guard. And at that moment, it was more, I was less upset at D and more upset at myself of not
Mm.
knowing, not being able to protect Drew. Because I think I do a pretty good job, and I did a good job of sort of separating game moves from personal stuff. And I knew, okay, props to D. Obviously, she got to protect Julie another round. She got to take out another big threat. Like it makes sense that why she would do that. So I wasn't like hurt for her doing that. I was more upset at myself for not knowing that was going to happen.
So I guess there were no thoughts then about playing the idol for Drew. Just wasn't on your radar.
I mean, there was a little bit of thoughts, and we kind of talked about a little bit. 100%, I would have played on him had we had any like real inkling that it was him going home. But when you're at final six, there's a lot at stake. Like we got blindsided by 4 votes. They could have split 2-2. If I played on Drew, I'm out. So it's sort of there's a lot going on. And at the end of the day, like I felt like I had a lot of different paths to the end. And it had I just and I knew if I make it to final five, I could probably make it to final three. So I played it on myself. But that said, if we had an idea that Drew is gonna go home, I would have played on him. No questions.
So going into the final tribal, I mean, you have to prepare to talk to the jury. How were you feeling then?
Yeah, so going into final tribal, I knew it was going to be an uphill battle for me. I knew that the jury was more sided with D. You can kind of see kind of the vibes of them when you walk in with immunity versus when someone else walks in immunity, when you're answering questions versus when someone else is answering questions. But I felt confident that if I got into there and was able to tell all the moves that I made, that I could win and that I had a really good chance of winning because I knew I made a lot of subtle moves that people weren't really aware of outside of like my core alliances. So I felt confident that if I shared everything that I was gonna win going in.
When we see Dee reveal that she did tell Julie
Yeah.
to play the idol and your face kind of changes, talk me through that moment.
Yeah. So I remember, before tribal council actually, we were kind of talking back and forth, smack talking each other, saying how we're gonna win, blah, blah, blah. And like she kind of brings up, she's like, I have this big secret, but I can't tell you now. It's gonna come out later at tribal. And I'm like, okay, like let's hear it. That actually comes out much earlier in tribal than was shown. Like that kind
Oh,
of happened like the first 25-30% of tribal council is when she revealed that information. And when someone drops something like that on you in final tribal council, you got to just kind of roll with it. It's like, okay, that's what it said. I have to just make the best of it. I can't look like I'm super upset or shocked at it. I have to just kind of like sweep it under the rug. It's no big deal. So I kind of was like, okay, well, at the end of the day, like the reason why, we were trying to vote out Julie was because she had the idol. We just needed to flush it. At the end of the day, it got flushed. So the main plan ended up working. And Emily went home, sure, but eventually we got to Julie. So kind of just rolling with the punches. Obviously, yeah, that was a big moment. That was a big moment where kind of like that's when I kind of realized like I'm probably going to lose this unless I go really, really hard for the rest of tribal council. And afterwards is kind of where you see me taking shots at her and we're like really going back and forth. That happened mainly after she revealed that.
Okay, so that got you fired up and you were like
Yeah.
throwing it out. I
At
see.
that point it was like unless I throw everything at the wall, I'm losing this. So
You did. You were amazing. I mean, you have a lot to talk up in final. You played a phenomenal game. When the votes were happening, how were you feeling at that time?
when the votes are being read, at that point, I knew there's a very low chance of me winning.
Mm.
So I kind of was prepared for losing at that point. But yeah.
How'd you feel about the number split? I mean, it's close.
Yeah, it was really close. I'm really proud of the game I played, and I'm really appreciative of the people who voted for me, who were willing to, because I swapped some votes. Like Kendra, for example, went into tribal thinking she was going to vote for D, and for her being willing to switch it to me and like not be stuck in her original decision, like it meant a lot to me. And I was really appreciative. I was really proud. D is a very deserving winner. She played an awesome game, and to get 3 votes against her, like I'm proud of that.
How did you feel about your relationship in the game? Do you stand by her as an alliance member? Do you have any regrets on sharing information? How do you feel about the game part of the relationship?
Yeah, no. I no regrets really. Like she was, with Drew, my number one. And at the end of the day, though, I was equally as close with Drew. I was gonna protect Drew the same way that I protected D. If D came up to me and was like, "Let's vote out Emily," I'm going straight to Drew, and I'm telling Drew that too. Both of them I'd play an idol for. Both of them I was never gonna vote out. The only way I would ever take out either of them was if we were put into fire together. I put myself into fire against them. I was never gonna vote either of them out. Um, and I knew neither of them would ever vote me out too. So it kind of like showed in the edit that I was like, oh, this is all love goggles. I'm just like, I'm not thinking straight, but I felt like I was still sharp out there and I was, staying true to myself, and I would have done everything the same for Drew. And, had that been done instead of to D, I think people would react a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me the highlight of this experience for you.
Oh my gosh, the highlight. There's so many highlights. I think a big moment, the final 3 breakfast was sort of just like an incredible moment where we were eating this most incredible food ever, like the best pancakes and bananas I've ever had in my life. And during it, we start talking about the jury and we were like reflecting on them and our memories with each of the players. And that was a really special moment, like kind of like the old school rites of passage that they used to do. Like we kind of wanted to replicate that because we knew, you don't really do that in the new era, but we wanted to give the jury members like a little highlight. And the fact that they showed that, like that was special to us. It was special to the jury members. So I'm really glad for that.
Oh, well, it was such a pleasure to watch you play this season. Job well done. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a lot of fun.